simple word. Happy. Best I've ever heard. Happy. Gonna put it in a song. Happy. If you're feeling sad. Happy. We're gonna tell you that. Happy. You ought to sing along. Woo. Our smile is wider than the state of North Carolina. Our eyes are brighter than the summer sun. Our cheery disposition, we're changing your condition. Let's make it a tradition and have some fun. Woo! Happy.
Welcome to the Disney Guys Uncensored, where we explore a lot more than just Disney. This is episode 123, recorded on Sunday, August 8th, 2021. We're your hosts, Drew and Bub. Tonight, we welcome Scott Durbin of the Imagination Movers back to the hot seat once again. This time around, we'll be talking shop about the Imagination Movers' new album, Fall Tour, and all the ways you can continue to support independent artists in these unprecedented times. Scott, thank you so much for joining us tonight, and welcome back to the Disney Guys Uncensored. How you been?
I've been doing well. I think last time we were together was in April 2020, something like that. So I enjoyed it then, and looking forward when you guys reached out, I was like, hey, let's do this again. Let's make this happen.
That seems like an absolute lifetime ago.
Oh, gosh. Does it? It's like forever. I think I was going through puberty back then. So.
Well, Scott, we're going to put you on the hot seat right to start off the show before we get into stuff, because Bob and I both have young kids that absolutely love you and your show. So we asked them for some questions. So this is going to be some fun young children questions. So my 4-year-old asked, have you solved any good problems lately?
Solved any good problems lately? You know, I think the last problem that we solved, in fact, I think I posted a picture on Facebook today on the Mover site. We needed another member of the band, and we found one. We posted his picture today, but we don't know a name for him. But he sort of looks like me with a beard and this little red hat that I sometimes will wear, this kind of beanie. And part of it was because we need a little bit more, I don't know if a youthful, because he's actually older than us, but he's a gnome anyway. You can check out his picture. But we needed somebody to play the triangle. You know, that was a problem that we were having in our music. And so we found the right gnome to hit the triangle. And that's probably the most recent problem we solved.
That's awesome. My 7-year-old asked, do you have any pets?
You know, I have 2 pets. I have a cat named Katniss that we just call Cat. And then I have a wonderful buddy named Herschel, or Hershey is his name, but I call him Herschel Beans. And he is a long-haired Dotson. So he is my buddy. That's
awesome. Bob, you want to read yours? Or you want me to read them?
No, you can. You're doing such a great job.
So Bob's my cousin. So these are really, my godson and so very close. So Zach, who's age 8, he's a simple man. He just wants to say hi to Warehouse Mouse. Yep. That's it.
That is awesome. Warehouse Mouse. You know, I was hanging out with Warehouse Mouse not too long ago. A mutual friend of Warehouse Mouse and the Movers, Kevin Carlson, did some stuff for us for the Happy video. And so not too long ago, I was hanging out with Warehouse Mouse. Still doing great. Still a diva. Still loves cheese. Warehouse Mouse is I don't think he has an opposable thumb, but if he did, he'd be thumbs up too.
That's awesome. And then Bub's other son, Alex, who's also age 4, he wants to know where he can get himself a pair of wobble goggles because they seem to be sold out everywhere.
They are. You know, we had a partner that we would work with to get those wobble goggles, and so that partner has redone their relationship, and so it takes I think 10 times more that we have to that we have to order and pay for. So hopefully that we'll be able to get it sorted. I think once we start doing shows, I think the demand will increase. So trust us, it's in the works. It's being faked. It's all that business stuff. It's all good.
That's awesome. So thanks for those early, hopefully easy questions, and we're going to talk more about it. But what we want to do first, folks, is for all you listeners out there, we have Scott on today because they do have a new album in the works, which will be coming out very soon, August 27th. And we want to give away a free copy of the album, digital copy. So there's a few ways you can do that. You can head over to Facebook, the Disney Guys Uncensored Ohana page, where that's where we communicate all of you guys. We share tons of links. That's really our main point of contact. So head over there and you just give us a follow. That'll automatically get you in if you're not there already. You should subscribe to us on YouTube. You could write a review for the Disney Guys Uncensored podcast on Apple Podcasts or wherever else you might be able to. You could join us on Discord, and it's free, folks. Discord is our private chat server where you can download the app on your phone and you can talk to us 24/7. Fun, lots of fun stuff there. Or lastly, you can email us a question for any show or for Mover Scott, and we can kind of get it to Scott, and he can answer it when he has time. And that's at the DisneyGuysUncensored@gmail.com. We're going to run this contest for a couple weeks. We're going to do an end of the summer type giveaway. So just do one of those things, and every one that you do, you'll get an entry. So you could get up to 5 entries if you don't. But yeah, we're excited to give that away, and we're going to talk all about that album a little bit later in the show. But before we do that, Bob, who is this wonderful episode sponsored by?
So we actually lost a sponsor of East Coast Metal Roofing. Unfortunately, we just weren't paying out enough, so it just didn't work out. But this episode is sponsored by those lovely people over at Wish Upon Magic, an Etsy experience specializing in stickers, keychains, Mickey ears, and handmade home goods, where a portion of every purchase goes to the Make-A-Wish Foundation to help spread the magic. If you mention the Disney Guys Uncensored in the notes section before checkout, you will receive Drew's favorite thing, a magical freebie. Wish Upon Magic is your place for fluffy handmade items. Give them a follow on Instagram at Wish Upon Magic, Etsy, and their website, wishuponmagic.com, where you can find magical new selections every week. And, of course, the man upstairs would not be happy with me if I didn't at least mention our lovely supporters over at Patreon as well. For all the information regarding our Patreon page, please visit us at www.patreon.com/The Disney Guys Uncensored, all one word, for more information. Drew, that's all the bookkeeping I have for you today. Let's head over to the topic of the week. So what can be said about Scott Durbin and the Imagination Movers that we haven't said before? This is the challenge we face as a podcast when we have guests on us multiple times. We're going to try to do that today. So without further ado, please allow us to officially welcome back to the show the harbinger of optimism, the chancellor of family entertainment, the admiral of education through music, the colonel of happy, professional burrow keeper, Hank Aaron enthusiast, and last but not least, the mayor of Fishtown, Scott Durbin of the Imagination Movers. Scott, thanks again for joining us.
I'm going to have you guys go, we're going to start hanging out and walking around. And anytime I enter a room, I want you to read that. I want you to say that again, because that makes me feel good.
Yes. So, there's probably, we could do an episode, I think, on those references there. The Hank Aaron enthusiast, obviously, let's start with the Hank Aaron enthusiast. Let's let people get to know the Movers, or at least Movers Scott here. The Hank Aaron enthusiast I came across, I think you're on your official Twitter handle that you are a Hank Aaron enthusiast.
You are correct. I grew up and my brother and I played Stratomatic baseball, which is kind of a tabletop baseball game. And, it's based on statistics and you would roll dice and there were cards. But, we did that. I also collected baseball cards growing up. And I remember, an early, I think it was like 1974-75 card of Hank Aaron. He's got the sunglasses that flip up, flip down. And I grew to just kind of love him. And his number became my number, 44. And anytime I played ball, that was the number that I wore. I actually did a fantasy baseball camp probably when I turned 40 with the Red Sox, not the Braves. But that was the number I wore. And even on my Montreal Expos hat that goes everywhere, I have on the back of it 44 in honor of Hank Aaron, simply because I think, a lot of the obstacles that he had to face and then claiming that home run record, I think just transcends baseball, but also just I loved his style, loved, watching him hit home runs growing up, even though I didn't get to see, a lot of his career. Right. I just kind of came to admire him as a person and as a player.
Yeah, certainly. He's one of the greats on and off the field. So
definitely
no problem there. So it's funny because I know the last time you were on, we did mention Fishtown as being one of my like low key like secret favorite Movers songs, and you kind of referenced the connection to Octopus's Garden a little bit, kind of the little inference there. So I do have the shirts you guys sold last year. I think you still have them up on the site, the Mayor of Fishtown shirt.
Got it.
I'm very excited. So where does the Mayor of Fishtown, for you and for Rich and for Dave and for Smitty, where does that type of song come from? Because it's a very low-key song on the album, but it's still catchy.
I think that one comes from a few idea juices in one another's company and just kind of jamming and playing music, getting happy ourselves, and then just kind of like just piddle paddling, just having fun. And, we've done a few songs like Mayor of Fishtown, that, and Watermelon Meow Meow, which is on Rock-O-Matic, which are just kind of just weird non sequitur songs that somehow find, manifest themselves in our experience as sort of kind of brothers and playing music together and enjoying one another's company, that aren't necessarily kind of, hey, what's a topic that we'd love to kind of explore musically speaking that's age appropriate, developmentally appropriate. For us, it's just when we're being weird together and these kind of little magical nuggets come out and somehow we're talking to this kind of weird muse, Salvador Dali-ish muse, and we happen to capture that with Mayor Fishtown and like Watermelon Meow Meow, these kind of weird songs,
Oh, I think you need those songs. So I think it breaks it up for you. You absolutely need them. So
yep, you definitely do.
So one thing we did talk about, like you said, way back April 2020, episode 55, I think, Drew, was the reference point for us. We did speak a little bit about your love and appreciation of the greatest pack animal walking the earth in Burroughs. And for the uninitiated, you in the show, and the show's on Disney Plus right now, and it's available streaming, and you guys have some live shows and a bunch of stuff on YouTube. That's where they can find you. You have a thing for Burroughs, and I think we discussed it. It kind of started as like an inside joke type thing, and then it became you are the Burrow guy.
Oh, totally. When it started, it was kind of a very inspired by Monty Python and really kind of this absurdism. And I was thinking, what would be a great animal for my character kind of, to love and appreciate. And I was like, Burrow, it just seems so kind of out in left field. And then once it became part of this, the characters' lives, Mover Scott's, his kind of evolution on the show, the writers just loved bringing it in, and they would bring it more and more. And so it became this great kind of element to the character. And I think for me, personally speaking, the more I kind of initially was sort of like this kind of like lark. And then I just, learned a little bit more about the animals themselves. And I think came to respect them and what they do and their abilities. And so it seems like if I'm going to have a mascot, the Burrow seems like an appropriate one.
You could do much worse than a Burrow.
That's right.
Like, much worse than a Burrow. So one thing before we kind of bring in vicariously through you, before we bring in the other guys, one more thing about Mover Scott that I think is very important to touch on for you. And I know we did speak about it last April, but as an educator through music and music education, and we did touch on it last episode, the last time we spoke about how important that is to you. Let's talk a little bit about maybe Scott Durbin and not Mover Scott, and how much music education and how much a music means to you.
Well, I think it's definitely that element that allows us to kind of be in connection with, our spirit, so to speak. I think we're physical, we're emotional, we're mental, and I think there's a spiritual element to us. And I think music is really kind of a way that we can kind of see that come into fruition. And I think for me, music is one of those things that, we encourage in our audience not only to appreciate it, but if you can, especially our younger members, to start learning it, because I think there's so many positive ramifications for kids learning music early. Just the math as an aspect, even patterns, even this kind of idea that music and learning notes and things like that is finite but can be infinite. For me, I think just developmentally speaking, having kids learn musical instruments early on, and especially if they love it. I don't want to be a parent who says, "Oh, you got to learn, practice your piano all the time." But if it connects with them, they will reap that, as they grow. Just being able to kind of, I remember, and I know this is going to be a little bit kind of off, but my family and I, a few years back, went to Ireland, and there was a family reunion for my wife's side of the family. And we were staying around Tipperary, and we got invited to this family party. And it was, as being Americans, it was really rare to kind of get this invite, but we went, and it was this kind of communal concert where everybody kind of took turns playing music, singing, dancing. And there was like an 8-year-old girl doing this dance. And then right after it, there was an 80-year-old man who did a poem. And then after that, 3 people were playing music together. And music was definitely the theme of the evening. And so for me, it was it further, edified the idea that music is, it spans generations. It's, we connect with people at different ages and different genders and different, colors. It's this thing that can keep, kind of bring us together and help us to kind of experience one another in a way that I don't think other things can do. And so for me, I think music, personally speaking, as well as from the movers' point of view, it's just a phenomenal, it really allows us to kind of connect and really kind of experience things that we might not have.
Yeah, it's almost as if music is like a universal language for a lot of people.
Right.
And I completely agree. And I think that's not necessarily the heart of what you guys do, but it's certainly part of the soul and part of the inner workings of how you guys do it. And speaking of which, obviously no man is an island. We know that. And you've got a great group of guys and Smitty and Rich and Dave, and of course Kyle, which I think tours with you guys, and we don't want to forget Kyle. He's not necessarily on the show, but he's been touring with you guys for I think for as long as I've done research on you guys. He has toured with you guys. So let's talk a little bit about the movers themselves and what you've touched on it with what you guys represent, but a 10,000 foot view of what you guys are and what we can expect from the movers.
Well, I think, the if I were to put the movers kind of, describe the movers as, we're guys who play, family music, and we do it for the right reasons. And next year, 2022, we will celebrate our 20th anniversary as movers. And so I think, it's been probably now almost 8 or 9 years post Disney where the show was on Disney Channel. Obviously, like you referenced earlier, it's on Disney Plus and anybody can watch those episodes. But we're like 9 years removed from actually being on the channel, and having survived a post Disney relationship, to still be able to create and to share music and and videos and things like that with our audience. I count myself fortunate. And the fact that we're on this kind of precipice of 20 years together as brothers, we're super excited. And I think we're going to try to do some things that we haven't done in 2022. I think we're probably going to create a lot of music that we'll put out and some music videos. We've toyed around with doing this kind of YouTube behind the song, just like really short video vignettes about the stories behind certain songs that we wrote together. So there's a lot of little ideas that we're kicking around for kind of to celebrate our 20th year together as movers. And like I said, if there's anything that people want to know, it's, it started with our motto that we wrote 20 years ago today, and that's, to encourage creativity in kids, to model problem solving, to foster independence and to promote self-esteem, all in a music-centric way. And so that was from day one, we started with that kind of vision. I think we've continued that vision even today. And so it's something that I'm super proud of as far as our legacy is concerned.
I think you guys should be very proud of that. And I think the legacy is definitely secure from people that I speak with and my sister-in-law's kids, my nephews. My nephews watch the show. So it's something that I think anytime Andrew and myself, see people at work and stuff that have kids, we recommend, put the movers on and look for them, because you guys really do drive a very positive message, and it's a very accessible show for kids and adults alike. It straddles that line very, very well. So it isn't always sunshine and rainbows, though. So I will let's wrap it up there with this section. Episode 55 goes much, much more in depth about where the movers come from, some tremendous losses they've suffered over the years. It's much more behind the guys and about the show. I think we do want to talk more about the upcoming excitement of the album and the tour. Before we get there, though, we all can acknowledge that it's been a difficult couple of years now for a lot of people with the pandemic, and not artists chief among them. Music artists, visual artists, every medium of artist has suffered in this instance, and a lot of people have. But I know Andrew has had quite a few questions. This is kind of the impetus for this episode for Drew, was to talk the new album, talk the tour, but he really wanted to get a mover's perspective of how you guys adapted in the pandemic and over the last 18, 24 months or so. So Drew, I'll open the floor to you and let you kind of run with this section.
No, absolutely. And start already. Thanks for sharing some of those amazing stories you've already mentioned. And so during the pandemic, right? You mentioned 2013, right? Again, God, 9 years ago, almost. You try to get that disconnected from the Disney, right? And then the movers had to try to move on without them, which I'm sure was a challenging endeavor. So now you guys adapted. You started going on tour, you released other albums, you focused really more on the same message, but more music focused, right? Mm-hmm. So really the last year and a half, how does that truly affect you guys? You had to shut down your tour. You had to start doing more social media type of adaptations. I remember you guys did a stream, which was amazing, by the way. So talk a little bit about adaptations and how you guys move forward.
Well, it's been difficult, as you kind of alluded to earlier, as Bub did when he kind of set up this, and then you carried on. I don't think people realize, like, as far as we consider ourselves independent artists, obviously, and for us, we're also a business, and so probably 80% of our operating income comes from playing shows, live shows. And so when you stop doing that, your business starts looking at like, okay, well, how are we going to survive? How are we going to manage? And, like I said, we've always done things for the right reasons. So I don't think we ever had the idea, it's like, how do we make money, so that we can stay alive? But it was like, I think for us, it was like, let's continue to create despite the obstacles that are facing us and the challenges that all of that has. And, I think early on, when the pandemic sort of hit, there was just so many unknowns, and you were just kind of holed up and sort of you sequestered yourself for the most part. And so, when you're doing that and you're in business with three other guys, and you're connected with those guys in beyond just the business area, and then you sort of are kind of in isolation, it's tough. So, there are a lot of things that I think we made the point of like saying, hey, let's get together, let's do a songwriting retreat and just be in one another's presence again. And I think we decided to do that. We did that, and out from that became a lot of the songs that are on Happy to Be Here. And so it proved the point that, I think sometimes we are greater than our parts. And, when we get together, we just realize how special the relationship we have with one another is, and what we can create when we're together. And I think, especially when you're kind of feeling lost at sea, so to speak, getting that opportunity to be together in that songwriting retreat, and then creating some songs that everybody was just stoked about, further confirmed, just the kind of specialness that we have. Because even when you have distance, you kind of take things for granted, but then you realize when you don't have that, when you're not together in one another's presence, just how special it is when you are, and some of the wonderful things that can emerge and come into being because of what everybody puts together and contributes. And so it was tough, but like you said, we got together, we wrote some songs, and I think having these songs that we all believed in really kind of pushed the energy on social media and the other different areas that we started looking at, and really creating music videos, which we really haven't done in a while. So those are all things that have been sort of kind of part of that, identification of just how special we being in one another's company is.
Yep. No, and that's absolutely, in a weird way, it's, you don't want to say the pandemic helped you guys write that, because I'm sure you guys are actively creating music, but again, it's one of those things, it is Happy to Be Here is the name of the album, and I think that's a message that all of us can just be, in a weird way, think bigger picture, let's just be happy we're together. And if you look at the pandemic, if it did anything, it made us be so close to our families, in a weird way. There's stuff I spent more time with my kids than I ever imagined, and it's not a bad thing. I mean, it's frustrating. It can be frustrating at times, but at the end of the day, you look back at it and say, man, like, I get to spend 6 months probably nonstop at home with my kids. Never would have done that.
Does Zoe and Evan listen to the show? Are they going to take that the wrong way?
Let's hope not.
You're right. It was such a surreal experience, and yet there were these silver linings. And I think for us, the reason why so many of the songs that came out of that session were so positive was because we didn't want to see happiness be a casualty of the pandemic, because, it was so overwhelming and so serious, and for certain reasons why, but it didn't mean that we couldn't still experience joy and happiness. And I think that was what we gravitated toward when we were together, was just how happy it was to be in community, like you with your kids. And I mean, and it's funny because, you talked about, like, one of your young listeners mentioned the dog, what kind of pets I had. And it's funny because my dog became one of my closest friends, because you're just around the dog, and we would go out on walks. It was his favorite time of the day was when we got to go out and walk. And it just kind of shows you truly, the little things and how they matter, and how they can be sustaining in times when things don't appear always that you're able to.
Yeah. Good answer. So I do want to bring up the stream that you guys did over during the pandemic, because for me, watching you guys stream, you kind of just did like a play session, right? And what I thought was amazing about it was, it was a popular thing that a lot of artists did. But when I watched you guys, it just seemed like a bunch of buddies getting together and jamming. You guys were kind of just laughing, you were joking, having a blast, right? And seeing that, I loved it. I thought it was great. So how did the idea of that come together? How did it form? And then I guess the follow-up would be, is any plans of doing that again?
Well, I think, I'll have to credit Dave, because Dave, when we're together, he's definitely, he's like, hey, let's do something for Facebook. Let's do something live. And so he's always kind of pushing that. And to his credit, he was the guy who wanted to capture that moment. And I think for us, because, you can forget the phone is in the room, so to speak.
Yeah.
You can kind of just, be yourself. You're not like performing to perform, for the camera or a concert audience. You're just kind of being, I guess, in those moments. And sometimes, like, when you watch experience, times like that, you just kind of see, you kind of pull away a little of the curtain. You kind of see behind, and you're just like, man, this is so fun, because I think that's where, it kind of speaks to the relationship we have with one another about our times together when we're jamming and just enjoying one another's presence. That it is fun. It's like, I can't tell you how many times dads have, if they posted a comment or something like that, it's like, hey man, I'd love to go have a beer with you guys because you guys look like guys that I would like to have a beer with. And so that's always a nice compliment. And I think we're all, I think for when it all said and done, we're just kind of dudes, normal guys, and we love our Saints, and we play music together. We're dads and husbands and friends and brothers, and so I always look at that, and when somebody throws that comment out, it's always comes as a very humbling and honored and appreciated POV.
Awesome, good. Bob, any other questions for Scott during the pandemic, or should we move on to our next little segment here?
I mean, this is almost like I think a segue question almost, because I know that you guys, I don't know if it's recently that you guys kind of signed with 8 Pound Gorilla. Is that fairly recent in this time? Yeah. Yeah. So obviously 8 Pound Gorilla, it came from the comedy label 8,000 Pound Gorilla.
800.
Yeah. And then 800 Pound, right? 800 Pound. And then you guys are with the 8 Pound Gorilla Records and Bandcamp, which I think those two things aren't necessarily related, but they absolutely can be tied together. So you're with a new partner in 8 Pound and Bandcamp, which we'll get into in a second. Let's start with 8 Pound. How did that come to you guys? Was it something you guys have been kicking around, or? Well,
I think 8 Pound came on our horizon specifically through Kenny Curtis, who is is a DJ at Kids Place Live and Sirius XM channel 78. And we have known him. And the funny thing is with Sirius XM, or back when it started, XM, quite honestly, we started in 2002. I think they started in 2001. And early on in our career, we got into their good graces. And, we had a song called I Want My Mommy that kind of came out. And they picked it up and played it quite a bit. You can hear my dog barking. That's Hershey. And so we've grown up with them. We've been around with them since as long as we have. And I think Kenny Curtis was a friend of ours for a long period of time. And he got involved with the 800 Pound Gorilla Records guys that did the comedy records. And they wanted to get into family programming. And they started this iteration, 8 Pound. And they were looking at artists for their roster, and they approached us. And for us, we were kind of, sort of the big kid as they were considering, although every artist on there in their own right has a great fan base. For us, we just were sort of like the more well-known of those artists that they were considering. And we were like, you know what? It's been a while since we've had a partner to kind of work together with. And I think one of the things that we did is recognize what they bring to the table. And we trusted Kenny Curtis simply because we've known him for so long and just realized what an incredible person he is outside of what he does professionally. And so I think it made us really like stop and say, hey, let's do this. Let's partner with another, group and just see what they bring to the table and see what our united efforts can accomplish. And it's been really fun working with them, and Kenny and Nick and Luke and all those wonderful people at 8 Pound. So it's been a great relationship thus far, and I'm looking forward to seeing where it grows. And so I'm excited about it. I think all the guys are excited about what potentially can be from there.
Yeah, no, that's excellent. I think that kind of gives people a very quick view of what 8 Pound is and how that came to be. Obviously, and I spoke to you before we started recording, and it might actually have been when we were recording, but not for the show. We spoke a little bit about Bandcamp and what Bandcamp means to you guys and how much it's a really cool app out there. Bandcamp, real quickly, it's almost a direct play for independent artists. If I've got that right, Scott, I don't want to. Yeah. So, and it's obviously very important for you guys, and not just you, but all independent artists and all artists pretty much everywhere. You guys did just have a sale, and it's really too bad that we did miss this, but Bandcamp kind of waived their fees this past Friday, I believe.
Yep.
And you were really pushing Happy to Be Here, which I already have pre-ordered, but it's great. So it is interesting from my vantage point because you guys, I have all your stuff on Apple Music saved on a playlist, very originally titled Imagination Movers.
Oh.
So just very, very out there on that one. Yeah. And you guys you got the Recess EP on there. You've got Wake Up Now. You've got the Kindergarten Graduation, the swell version,
yep.
which is snappy. It's a little acoustic instrumentation of that, so it's really, really cool. And that actually recently, this summer, spent some time on the 13 Under 30 on Kids Place Live on Sirius XM. What's that like for you guys when a song, because Kindergarten Graduation has been around for you guys for a while.
Yeah, so it was funny because that was on 10-4, which I think came out in 2018. But the version that's on the album 10-4 is a kind of a sort of a dance club version. Which, when we originally, all the songs for 10-4, when we were together writing those all came out of like acoustic sessions. So, it was Rich on the, probably Rich was on the drums, Smitty was playing acoustic guitar, Dave was playing bass, and I was playing either banjo or mandolin, and mostly banjo because I was really getting into playing the banjo at that time. And so all of those were written or penned acoustically. So we even, when we went and recorded some songs in our first session, we went to a studio here in Lafayette, Louisiana, where I live, and we recorded probably 5 songs. Is That Wrong? Which Sirius XM played quite a bit, and that as well as the acoustic version of Kindergarten Graduation. So we had actually recorded that before we did the dance version that actually made the album. So, make a long story short, during the pandemic, when we weren't together writing music, we had some songs that were out there that had been recorded in one way, shape, or form, some as far back as 2007. And I was like, why not have these songs find a home? And especially that Kindergarten Graduation, we knew, Kindergarten Graduation was going to be happening in June for a lot of places. And I'd contacted the program director and sent her the song and said, hey, just consider this one because it's a different version. And I think it might be more akin to what you would like or what your listeners would be looking for, because it was really rousing. It was really kid-friendly in its appeal. And she loved it and started playing it. And like you said, it actually hit number 1 on the 13 Under 13 countdown for them, which is our first number 1 in a while. So we were super stoked that this kind of a song that had sort of gotten pushed to the back because we did a different version on the album still found life in a new format, both on Bandcamp and SiriusXM. So for us, the whole reason Bandcamp came to be is, and my other hat that I wear, not as Mover Scott, but I'm a professor at the University of Louisiana at Lafayette, and I teach a lot of music business program classes there. And so, it's my duty to kind of like know a lot of different formats and platforms that artists use. And it's so funny. It's such a dynamic industry in and of itself, because it's like, you think 3 or 4 years ago, TikTok was not really a thing, and now it's where music is discovered, for all intent and purpose. So you have to sort of keep on the pulse. And I think I came across Bandcamp and I was like, you know what? The best way to learn is to really do it. And so I got us, started playing around with the platform, and then realized really just how artist friendly it was, which I think you alluded to, Bub, because it is. And on, they started, because of the pandemic, on the first Friday of every month, they did Bandcamp Day or Bandcamp Friday, which they waive their fee. And really, so 95%, roughly 95% of the income that an artist generates goes directly to the artist. And that's not a lot of so even one pre-order, and I know people don't really buy music anymore, but that one pre-order if you were to look at the amount of streams you might have to get as an artist to even make, and we ask basically $7. A lot of people will pay above that just because they support who we are and what we do. For us to generate $7 on streaming means thousands of streams, where on this platform, $6.60 or $6.70 comes directly to us to help us create future content. So it was one of those platforms that was artist friendly. It was a way that we can kind of showcase some songs that sort of got lost in our career. And then, of course, we're using it. And then for some, like Recess, that EP, which were a lot of the 2000 songs that never found a life, could create an EP that is really only on that platform. That's the only platform that you can listen to those songs. So for us, it was sort of this kind of, one of my other lives as a professor meeting the movers' lives in a way that was educational, but also really kind of helping us in a way that could allow us to create future content, especially because we couldn't play live.
Right. And I think what people miss is that the live music is like you said, it's 80% of your generated income. So when you lose that for 18 months or more, you're looking at that saying, not to be a Debbie Downer here, but the movers are no more, because it's a healthy portion of your income. And it's absolutely something that could have been real. It could have happened. And it did, I'm sure. To your point, I don't think people realize, because, the perception or the misperception is that we were on Disney, so we must be rich, first of all. Right. Anybody who's on Disney knows that is not necessarily the case. But then we're also 9 years removed from being on Disney. So, it's really been a do-it-yourself operation. And like you said, when you don't have that income, it starts to kind of get, like, oh my gosh, how are we going to be able to do this? And what happens, the reality of the situation is our side gigs become more prominent, because that's, that's where our health insurance comes from, all of the kind of real life situations. And so it sort of moves the movers down, as sadly as that sounds, the pecking order, in our priority list, because it's like, hey, I get my insurance, I get my retirement through my job. The movers aren't making any money because of the pandemic. So what do we do? And I think even in that kind of weird, harsh reality, there's just something so wonderful about what the movers are and what we do, that it's a labor of love, for honestly, for all intent and purpose. And it's something we're going to keep, because, man, we get emails or we get comments about just how our music resonates. Especially, with families that might have a child that has has obstacles that they need to overcome, and that somehow our music speaks to them in a way that no other thing does, or the TV show on Disney Plus. It's just so, that's worth more than the dollar bills. And so it kind of pushes us to keep doing what we do. And not only that, but it's because we love it as well. But it is one of those things, like, to your point, it's tough. It's tough to stay, keep your head above the water. For a while we stopped taking any draw from the movers, because the money that we had there basically had to sustain, our website hosting, all that kind of stuff, all those little business, minutia, that we stopped taking money so it could just stay in the business and keep it afloat. And you're like thinking, in any other world, the fact that, you're not deriving any income from this kind of job, why would you continue doing it? And so we do it really kind of as a labor of love. And hopefully, if in the future, we're able to tour to the extent that we've done in the past, we'll have overcome this bridge. And even still, we do it because we love it. We really do.
And I think that takes a lot of respect, Scott, to admit that, for one. I think I speak for all of your fans to say thank you, right? And genuinely mean that. Thank you for keeping it going, right? Yeah. It's very easy to say, hey, we're not making money. Let's not do this anymore. It's a very easy out, right? But but you can see your passion. Just the chats you have with us, like I mentioned before, with the stream, it's just a bunch of buddies hanging out. Your passion of saying, well, what else out there? There's 8 Pound Gorilla. Let's pursue these guys. What's this Bandcamp thing? Let's pursue this. Let's keep writing an album. The tours will come back. Let's just keep trying, guys. So so the passion is respected. It's respected, and it's awesome to see that.
Appreciate that. Yeah, I mean, it's like you said, it's tough, but you do it for, we've always done it for the right reasons. We'll always continue to do it for the right reasons, and hopefully, there'll be better days ahead. But even still, it's like, even in the midst of all this, kind of craziness, you find like a gem like Happy, the song itself. Yeah. And it's just like, man, what muse did we happen to pull from to have that kind of find itself as part of our discography and our videos. Such a fun song, and I listen to it. I mean, even though I helped compose it, I listen to it and it makes me happy. It really does, and so it puts a smile on my face. I think the video, that was my first time to direct the video, and I was just so happy with the way it came out. That it tickles me, to watch it and to listen to it.
Absolutely. And Bob, I think Scott set up his own segue right there.
Yeah. So before we get into Happy to Be Here, because I will tell you the initial response for Happy has been great in my house and Andrew's house and everything I've read and seen. It is certifiable. It is a hit. For you guys. They're just Take Time, previously unreleased. That's also on Bandcamp. And the Trippy Mix of Pop, which is also, that's from 8 Feet. That's from your 8 Feet album, I believe. That's the remix version of Pop. So both those are also on Bandcamp. And a lot of those, like you said, are almost exclusive to Bandcamp, if they're not actually all exclusive. So
I think
happy to be here. Yeah. You're happy to be here. We're happy to be here. Happy to be here. The new album, like we said, is available August 27th. Happy is the lead single, and it will make you happy. What are the musical inspirations for Happy, for the album in general? It's such an upbeat, happy song. It's just, it's there.
It is. It's funny because, I think, when I was talking to you guys before the show, the first song that we were the lead single was actually going to be Robot Breaks Down. That was the song that we thought we were going to release first. And that's sort of a Killers 80s new wave kind of sound. That's definitely what influenced that particular song, the Robot Breaks Down song, even maybe a little Neon Trees in there as well. And we have a song called My Dog that I will have to go on. I'm going to go on record and say it is the first kids song or family song that sounds like it should be heard in a pub.
And excellent.
That's I can't wait. I'm excited. Yeah.
And My Dog is really, there's some Beatles influence because there's a lot of like little mini songs that are sort of woven together in that particular My Dog song. But you're going to hear it and it's going to sound like if you were to close your eyes, picture yourself in a pub in London or something like that, and this comes on and starts being played by musicians who are in the pub, you're like going, I know exactly what he meant. So it's a pub song about pets, dogs specifically, and one cat that we're super stoked about. And then, of course, we have a song called Leaves Fall Down, which the video that we have in our heads that will probably be the third video from this EP is going to be reminiscent of those sort of 70s commercials, those Coke commercials. I like to sing the world, that kind of. So that's the kind of vibe for that. But it started on the banjo. I had this little riff and we all got together, and actually Farmer Kyle, who's our tour drummer, was playing bass on that song. He and I were sort of batting that back and forth. And so Dave and Rich sort of took the lyrics and the lead on the vocals for that particular song. And then Smitty was starting to add some guitar to that. And that's how it came to be that formation. But it starts off kind of nice. It's a very fall oriented song. And it really, the energy ramps up towards the end. You're going to be singing this kind of little refrain at the end. Really great song. I mean, the funny thing is all of us are so happy with the songs that are on this album. Alligators Are Cute was something that we did. Smitty sort of kind of was the progenitor of that. And that's sort of a song like Mayor Fishtown. It's kind of a weird little quirky song. But it's definitely very kid friendly. And that sort of came when we were working with Jefferson Parish on a tourism campaign. And we were out in the swamps, and they were literally out with alligators. And so they would sing this little song to sort of kind of put the alligators at bay. I don't know if it worked, but it definitely led to itself being on this album. And then, of course, Happy, which is just so much fun. And I have to just give a tip of the hat to Rich, who's the whistler in that particular song, because he is a darn good whistler, man. I mean, sounds like it's an incredible whistling part. And so, that song was like one of those things where we had a few lines. The Smile Wider Than North Carolina was something that we had. And I think we all knew that we wanted something really positive and happy and uplifting, and the word happy just sort of like became the cornerstone for that song. And it's like 2 minutes of just really just, makes you smile kind of content. And we all kind of went through like little things of like things that were making us happy at the time. And for me, it was walking my dog. And so everybody, Rich watching movies with his family on the couch. It was those kinds of experiences that sort of fed into, even the lyrical content of that song. And then, I was so fortunate to be able to direct that video. And it was really my first time doing that. And so just kind of organizing it. And initially when I had the idea for the song, I was like, okay, this is my concept. We're watching TV shows about puppets, and puppets are watching TV shows about us. And that was sort of where it started. And initially we had commissioned these puppets, sock puppets, when we were doing 10-4 for the song Socks, that we never used because they were too creepy. And so when I mentioned the thing about the video, Rich was like, hey, reach out to Kevin Carlson, who did Warehouse Mouse. And so I reached out to Kevin, and I was like, hey, I'm going to send you these creepy puppets, and you've got to tell me if they're really creepy. And he received them, and he was like, these are really creepy. And so he was like, no, we cannot use these. These will scare kids. And instead he was like, and so I was like, hey, well, maybe what we can do is do vignettes with puppets if you can rally some really great looking puppets. And he was like, of course, I've got this. And so I kind of said, hey, I want you to do these little vignettes, sort of the second verses, and just do them in puppets and kind of explain the concept, and then have it where the puppets would be watching us, and so it's kind of like Crafting with the Movers was one of the show, and then it breaks in with the news channel, that kind of stuff, that they'd be watching television, and these shows would be the ones that they chose to watch. And then it sort of culminated in a Brady Bunch kind of homage at the end. But also in there, and I know this, I'm probably being a little bit too talkative about it, but
no, not at all.
I wanted to throw in this kind of Scott Pilgrim vibe.
Right.
Yes.
And so that, it was kind of this idea of us watching puppets watching us, Scott Pilgrim, and then so that was sort of kind of the vibe behind it, and I just loved it. It came out great.
It really did. It came out amazing.
Thank you so much. I'm really happy with it. I worked with a wonderful little team that we had got together to sort of you never know when you have the idea in your head how it's going to look. How the final look will be, but it just came out so great. And so we did that one. We also have a video for Robot Breaks Down, and Rich's daughter, Abby, she directed that video.
Wow, that's awesome.
And so that will be coming up soon. And then we're planning on doing a third video for Leaves Fall Down. And then we are going to have a video for Alligators Are Cute, just kind of a sort of edited B-roll that we got from doing those kind of videos for Jefferson Parish. They allowed us to use that footage, and we'll be editing those together to make a little video for that.
That's awesome. Also, and thanks so much for breaking down the inspiration. I mean, I can't tell you how excited I am right now, Bob. I don't know about you, but I want to listen to these songs now. Like
well,
now.
right. So I had a thought in my head when I was listening to Happy that it was the song we needed, but not one that we deserved, because just of how every time you say something, someone has, nope, you're wrong, you're false, and it's just like, not a song we deserve. I'm telling you right now, I haven't heard these other 4 songs. This sounds like an EP that we've needed, but that we definitely didn't deserve. And I will tell you, these are great stories, and I can tell by the way you're telling them that my follow-up question is ridiculous to ask, but as an honest journalist, I'm going to ask it anyway. Are you excited for the fans to hear this new music? Because I think you are.
It's funny because I think the last, and I mean, all major props to License to Move and 10-4, but I don't remember a collection of songs where all the guys were so excited about than the ones that are going to be on this EP. I know Dave loves these songs, and every time we talk, he's like, "I'm just so stoked about these songs." So, not since Rockomatic, has every. I mean, and I mean that with a kind of a grain of salt. We're always excited about new music,
right?
But as a whole, these 5 songs, for whatever reason, I guess probably were, I guess maybe they have a different kind of meaning, for us, and resonated with us because of the experience in which they came out. So we're all pretty stoked about it. And it's funny because I think it goes back to the way we write music when we're together and where ideas come from. And, little bits come from Rich, or little bits come from Smitty or Dave or myself. Kyle might throw in something. And we just, whatever we've created has always been, transcends the individual that brought it to the table. And I think we all recognize that and appreciate it. And so the fact that we all have bought into these 5 songs is just, I think, a testament to really just how fun they are and how much we enjoyed that whole experience of creating them. Not since Rockomatic have we, I think, all 5 felt that.
That's awesome. So
I will tell you that. Go ahead, Drew.
A really quick follow-up question, Scott, because, like we said, if you have not seen the video, first of all, go watch it. You're getting thousands of views already on YouTube. We'll post the link. You need to go see it. But to your point, Scott, is you've been making music for a long time. Now you just introduced this new angle of making a video and directing it, right, for your vision. And you kind of answered it, but how does that feel now to see hear the audience saying the music video, the puppets were funny, the art style was clever? I mean, that must, again, it makes you feel good, makes you feel happy.
It makes you want to do more.
Exactly.
So, which I think if you're a Mover fan, that's a good thing to hear. It definitely makes you want to do more. In the initial relationship, I think 8 Pound had only asked us to do 2 videos, and I think we're going to eventually do 4, simply because we just love the music that's coming out on this. And I think My Dog is the only one that might not get a video, but I think we have some other ideas to do with that. And that's the only reason, is because it's a longer song for our genre. Generally kids' music songs are probably 2 minutes, 2.5 minutes, maybe a 3-minute song. I think My Dog might be 4 to 5 minutes, or closer to 5 minutes. I have to double check. So, but it's great because it's actually a little collection of like smaller songs within it. So it makes sense. But, I think for me, seeing that video, or that visual with the song kind of come to fruition, really kind of definitely pumps you up and makes you want to do more. And so hopefully that will be the case, and that we can do more music videos, because I know people love to see videos and us being in it. And even though we're getting, we're aging, people will say, "Hey, do you guys ever age?" We must be doing something good. I mean, I have a little gray gravel in the beard, but everybody's keeping in good shape and eating the right things and getting exercise. And so hopefully we can continue it for a lot longer.
And to that point, I mean, the Movers were really born on being in front of the TV screen, right, and in front of video. So, I mean, dare I say, is music videos kind of the new future you perceive for the Imagination Movers?
Well, I think, we've always toyed around with like doing little, because I think the one platform that we just really have neglected, and that is any kind of real central YouTube presence. And I think part of it was because we just didn't do videos like we had done before, because I think we always thought they were more Herculean than we realized. And I think because technology is as it is today, you can do great videos in a cost-effective way. And I think that part of it is, where even just like the software you use is so much more sophisticated, and you can do some really cool things and edit some really cool things. And I think for me, it opened up my eyes just to kind of what you could do on a relatively shoestring budget, that you could create some really cool stuff. And I think it just beckons the want and desire to do more of that. And so, to your question, I think music videos is definitely an element where we're going to probably dedicate a little bit more time. And I think, it definitely, one of the things we've always had in the back of our, back of our brain, and that scratch that needs to be itch is doing our own movie. It's, right. And maybe, we sort of have the idea. We've even kind of reached out to some possible script writers to kind of put our idea in script form, but it's more doable now than it ever was, simply because I think we can do it ourselves if we don't find a partner to do it with. And anybody we share the idea with loves it. And I mean, it's a simple idea, but it's kind of like Blues Brothers movie with the Movers, where we sort of have post Idea Warehouse, we're all kind of gone our separate ways, because obviously you don't need to go see problem solvers anymore when you can Google how to do things. So it's a few years removed from the Idea Warehouse, and we get the band back together to play a big show, and it's kind of the Blues Brothers awesome. Kind of idea. And we sort of have the, like little nuggets of what that would look like. And, if it doesn't come to fruition where we find a partner to go ahead and do it, I think we might just try to crowdfund it and do it and get it done. And I think one of the things we've always tried to do is, whenever we've had an idea, and I think this is very emblematic of the show. It's like, it's not enough to just have a good idea. It's to actually do it. It's like, yep. Like you guys had an idea and you're doing it. It's not enough to just say, hey, I want to do a podcast, but to actually do it and make it real, and make it and find your audience and start growing your audience. Kudos to you guys, because you've taken an idea and made it happen. And I think a lot of people have ideas and that's all it ends. It ends it lives and dies as an idea. And so it's not enough to just talk it, but to make it happen is a big deal.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Well, it's funny you mention Rock-O-Matic and how you guys feel with it. I want to go deep back, I want to go back into the back catalog for a second with Robot Breaks Down. Is there any connection at all to Robot Chase Song, or no? Is it just another robot finding his way into the mover's conscience?
It's probably the latter, but it's definitely got the energy of Robot Chase Song. Robot Chase Song, like I said, I think I mentioned that when we talked before, how that's one of my favorite songs we've done, simply because it's such a great kind of punk song. Yep. And I'm so surprised it got included in the show, just because of the, sort of the lyrics are a little sophisticated, and the references we brought in were really pop culture references, but we got it in the show. I'm so proud of that song. And this one, has that same kind of great energy that I think that one. So it's definitely
It's a new robot for you.
Yeah, it's a new
robot muse. Excellent. So again, that is Happy to Be Here, the new EP available on August the 27th. Also, we should mention here that August 20th kicks off what is like a mini fall tour for you guys. Let's knock on some wood somewhere, because the way things, you never know.
the biggest log that you can and knock on it.
So you guys are going back to Racine. You guys, I think, have played there once or twice before. Or is this will be your first time?
This will be the first time at Racine.
Yeah.
We played some zoos before, Maryland Zoo. We played a few zoos before. This will be the first time there. So we're super excited to be a part of that. You know, they're doing this Junior Animal Crackers Junior kind of thing, and Ralph Covert had played. We'll be playing on Friday, August the 20th. It's interesting because we're playing sort of an evening show. You know, most of our shows are like 1 o'clock, and so or 11 o'clock or something like that. So playing an evening show, I'm looking forward to. I'm actually looking forward to the weather. Because
I can imagine you guys down in New Orleans, in Louisiana. God bless you. I'm sure Wisconsin will be quite a change for you guys.
Oh man, the humidity. You walk. I do these daily walks now, and I'll ask Siri, what the humidity is, and she'll say like 84% or 85%. And I come back from the walking my dog, and I have to go take a shower because my clothes are drenched with sweat. So, but yeah, we do the zoo show, and then we have a Beignet Fest show here in our backyard. We're doing a weekend in New York and Peekskill in Connecticut, and those were actually shows that were canceled during the heart of the pandemic. So,
and we'll be there. Those are the ones we'll be at.
Yeah, we will be at we'll be in Newtown. At Edmond Town Hall, we will be there, and the kids are excited. And then you guys finish up on the main stage, PJ's Coffee main stage, Scott, at the Abita Springs Fall Fest back in November. A couple homecoming shows, you had two Louisiana shows for you guys. You guys have all the links on the page on your website for tickets or anything like that. What can people expect? I think we talked about this last time, but I think it's such an important part of what you guys do. What can people expect from a Movers show?
Well, it's super interactive. They'll be flying toilet paper, generally vortex smoke rings, ginormous balloons, confetti. A lot of times we're all wireless so that we can get out into the audience and play our instruments. If you ever look at our Facebook page, you'll see pictures of Dave sitting next to somebody playing his bass, but also, still performing. I think performing live is always at the core of who we are. We don't rely on tracks or anything like that. So playing live music, playing, a developmentally appropriate rock concert with all the trimmings is what you'll expect. And, so I'm stoked. I'm stoked that we'll be able to do it, and hopefully, like you said, knock on wood, we'll be able to do it.
Good Lord!
I know.
I thought we were on to this.
I will be very happy if it all comes together, which I'm hoping it will.
It's the random. So we're sitting here, knocking on wood. I was watching last weekend. Lollapalooza was on Hulu from Chicago, and the mass of people.
Yikes!
I said yikers, but no, this is a good little tour for you guys to get kind of back into it. Like we said, all shows and tickets information can be found at imaginationmovers.com or the various the Eventbrite, I think, has one of them, and the tickets at the theaters and the fall festival sites. Scott, that's not it, because we did mention hot seats a couple of times. We did warm you up early on when our kids had some thoughts about the show and you guys. We do like to do rapid fire random questions. And the fun thing is when we have a guest on the show, we never give them the questions ahead of time. So it's truly, I will tell you, this might be as random as we've ever gotten. But I think it's going to be fun. So Drew, I will let you start it off.
All right.
And you can go, and we'll just kind of alternate back and forth for Scott.
All right, Scott, here we go. So hypothetically, let's say put money aside and all the health insurance and good stuff, would you give up your everyday job to do Imagination Movers full time?
Yes.
Oh, all right, easy one.
He gets the rapid fire. Excellent. So I got one for you. Which album, not a Movers album, but which album did you or the guys rotate the most during the pandemic in the writing sessions and stuff? Is there a muse for this album besides the Killers, besides Neon Trees and the Beatles?
Geez Louise. Goodness gracious. Let me think. A lot of the movers will default to me with song with what I'm listening to. And I was listening to, and there's certain songs. It's not really an album per se, but there's a song by a band called Goth Babe that I was listening to. And actually, a lot of times I'll create like a little playlist that I'll send out to the guys so they can get a vibe for what I'm, just kind of the mood. And for that particular playlist, Goth Babe aside, it was all sort of pop punk stuff, like Lost Girls was one, The Regrets was another one, and so I sent them all these different songs for them to kind of listen to and sort of get into a real positive state of mind. So I think for me it's not necessarily an album, but it was like certain songs.
That's cool. Bub does that for us in every episode. We do park music. He sends us Disney. We do resort music. He sends us resort playlists.
No, that's actually so Pop Century down at Disney. They kind of take music from the 50s to the 2000s, and it's like a 218 song playlist, and it's magic, Scott. Let me tell you, some of it is real like Jerry Lewis deep, Buddy Holly deep, which again, all classics, but you really got to be into that, I think, to really give it a spin, as it were. Drew, what do you got next? This one's interesting. I'm interested to see what the answer is here.
All right, Chad. If you could jam with any artist in the world, past, present, future, who would it be?
Personally speaking, I think, that's a great question. I would have loved to have played with REM during their heyday. That's me speaking. Either them or 10,000 Maniacs. I love Natalie Merchant. Their first album, In My Tribe, is probably on one of my top albums ever. That would have been a great album. And the other one, I know this is going to be a weird throw out there, but I grew up, and one of my favorite bands was the House Martins, which was this band from Hull in England. And they had a song called Happy Hour. That was their big hit that everybody sort of knew. But they would craft these wonderful pop gems, these like really 2-minute, 30-second songs. So I would have loved to have jammed with House Martins back in the day.
So, all right, you mentioned REM. Is this Monster REM, or is it This
is probably pre-Monster, probably like back in Harbor Coat days, like Murmur and things like that. Really early stuff. Fables of the Reconstruction. Probably maybe as late as maybe Night Automatic for the People. I think that's probably
okay. Automatic for the People. That's fair. That's fair. All right. Do you have a favorite REM song? It's a cheat song. Cheat question, Drew. Do you have a favorite REM song?
Night Swimming is one.
Okay. All right.
Really like that song.
Very good. Very good. Drew, go ahead.
All right. If you could create an Imagination Movers episode with any guest, who would it be?
All right. So there was, and I don't know if I mentioned this possible episode last time, but if I did,
I'll tell it again.
Then I'll tell it again, and if not, then you'll be on the forefront. So, because we were co-executive producers, we would come up with premises for the show, and one of the premises that we came up with and really kind of enjoyed was, there was like a local, news, they'll send out their reporters, like, some event that's happening in the community that they report on. And so a local reporter would come to the Idea Warehouse because, hey, we're in the community, and they were going to do a little a segment on the Idea Warehouse and the Imagination Movers. And lo and behold, two of us get locked in one of our rooms. So that's the idea emergency, that two of us are getting locked in the room, and two of us are trying to entertain this local newscaster about how wonderful we are as problem solvers, and everybody should come, and only two of us are there. So, there's this kind of process where the two that are locked are trying to solve the problem inside, and the two that aren't are entertaining the local reporter, as well as going away and coming back with, looking like the other two that were there. Kind of the old,
the old switcheroo,
switcheroo to kind of, to buy time. And so We love that idea. It never got made. Never got further than the kind of the synopsis of it. But we always thought that would be a great episode. And so that would be the one that I would the fish that got away, so to speak.
Ah, all right. I don't think you told that one. I don't remember that story. Good. So, you have a favorite place to tour?
We do military shows with Navy Entertainment, and those are always wonderful simply because we get to perform for families that are, that they're either their mother or father are in the armed services, and their bases, that are abroad, whether it be Japan or, Germany or something like that. So getting the opportunity to go and play those particular shows are great. Not only that, but, you get to see some places that you never would, otherwise. And so, we've been able to do that a few years. We haven't done it since COVID, but, being able to play in whether it be England or Germany or Spain, Road to Spain probably might be one of my favorites, I think. Road to Spain, to pick one.
That's awesome. All right, this one's going to be tough. I'm only going to let you pick one.
Okay.
What is your favorite instrument?
My favorite instrument to play right now is the banjo. I just have fallen in love with it. You'll hear it on Leaves Fall Down, that particular song. And, of course, it was prominent in the song that we did with Lisa Loeb on 10-4, Butterfly Wings. And so
that one.
I really have been enjoying playing the banjo. That would be my instrument.
Awesome. All right, we got two left. Bob, I'm going to let you take the next one. Some follow-up, I think, from last episode.
Follow from last episode. This is the research we do here. Any movement on super movers?
No. I wish I could say yes. It's such a great idea. The idea that anybody has the power to become a superhero, that you could be super kind or super helpful, or, it just seems like it's begging to be made. And the Super Movers video is great. We have ninja cats, and it's just such a great, and Dave's a gummy. How can you not want to see this on television?
So I agree. Have one before Drew finishes up. That is, so you speak about maybe a movie, or you guys obviously would be open to more things. What if we did, because it's all the rage right now, a Young Movers prequel?
We would do a Mini Movers in a second. We have a synopsis called Mini Movers. So it's, of course, totally. And we, I think we're smart enough to know that even if it were to be, redone, it's one of those, it's kind of a catch-22. It's like, would you do another Movers where you weren't the primary actors? And I think we would, simply because I think there's a lot that there's a lot for us to give in that way. And if it meant a different, different people who are bringing that's fine. I don't think we have the hubris to say we have to be in front of the camera or we have to be the people driving it, but we could do that behind the scenes if necessary, simply because we believe in what the Movers are, and really the reasons why we started and continue to do it. And I think it's because it resonates with individuals. So we definitely would be a part. We would definitely play a large role, because you obviously want it to continue with the authenticity that it started with. But yeah, I think we're all we'd all be willing to look at creative ways to bringing the Movers to future fans, if it didn't mean us as being the primary actors or something like that.
Yeah, definitely. All right. Good question there, Bob. All right, so this is the last question that every fan wonders.
Everyone.
Everybody.
I think everyone, even non-fans, want to know this answer.
How many of the famous blue Mover jumpsuits do you own, Strat?
Okay, so I would probably say, through its life, I've owned maybe like 12 or 13.
Okay.
You'd think it'd be more, but they're aren't durable, man.
They're not durable. You should have a little. Yeah,
super durable.
That's awesome.
And so I have one in my. Yeah, I just have one in my house. I have more than one in my house. I probably have 6 or 7 here, and then there are others at our little kind of like storage facility. That's our de facto.
Awesome. Yeah, I mean, what a blast. So sorry, we can't thank you enough. I'd love any more questions before we wrap up, or.
No, actually, and she listens once in a while, and I'd be remiss if I didn't at least ask this. I think Drew knows where I'm going with this, and I told him I wasn't going to ask it, but I will ask it anyway. My wife, Megan, God bless her, she loves the show too. She's coming with me and the boys to see you guys, and I know Andrew's wife is coming as well. But she told me that your hair looks exquisite, and she's wondering who does your hair and how and what is the regimen for the hair.
Yikes! It's getting thinner with every year. But I mean, I do Head and Shoulders, and I do Head and Shoulders Sport. I don't know why it's the good thing about the hair is that I'm not afraid to cut it off, and so but it grows like a weed, and it just grows and grows and grows. And now I keep it kind of in this little bun, and sometimes I'll lay it down, but not really any kind of crazy regimen, I
just regular care, normal care. Regular normal guy for a movie.
That's
right.
It's my genes.
So Scott, before we do the final wrap up, we like to have every guest, we kind of hand it over the mic to you to promote yourself, promote the Imagination Movers, social media, your new album, the tour, Disney Plus, whatever you want. This is your chance to tell people where to go.
Well, I think, all of the episodes, sans the concert episode, are on Disney Plus. You can stream it anytime, anywhere, 24/7. Social media, Facebook, I think the one thing that we pride ourselves is we try to respond to comments that anybody makes. I think we're really good about if you take the time to come and comment on our Facebook page in particular, we'll respond to it. So, Imagination Movers, just look for it on Facebook, at iMovers on Twitter, Imagination Movers Official on Instagram. And I think if there's anything, and then, of course, imaginationmovers.bandcamp.com there. And then on any streaming platform, just look up Imagination Movers, stream some songs, enjoy that. And I think if there's any lasting word from the Movers, is is just show more kindness to others, show some more compassion to others, and let a little bit more happiness into your life, because it'll change your outlook.
Absolutely. That's awesome. That is fantastic. We want to thank you, Scott, for your time. We know you're busy. So thank you so much for spending the time with us. We couldn't be more excited to have you, as always. And definitely, everyone, go check out all the music everywhere. And I will say your Facebook follow is a great follow. It's a lot of fun. So definitely go follow Imagination Movers on Facebook. But that's going to really wrap up this episode of Imagination Movers 2.0, right? It's at the time here. And as always, thanks for listening to The Disney Guys, Uncensored.
Our smile is wider than the state of North Carolina. Our eyes are brighter than the summer sun. Our cheery disposition, we're changing your condition. Let's make it a tradition and have some fun. Woo! Happy, such a simple word. Happy, best I've ever heard. Happy, gonna put it in a song. Happy, if you're feeling sad. Happy, we're gonna tell you that. Happy, you want to sing along. Hang around the house, no reason to go out. Watch a movie with you. Walking the dog outside, down the street and by. Trees tall and sky so blue. Scribble on a notepad, I drew it and it's not bad. Pick up a pencil and try. Listen to the birds sing, it's my favorite thing. Angelic tunes fill the sky. You choose for